Test, test, test. Test. Okay, we are good to go. All right, everyone. On tonight's video, what I'm going to be doing is taking out the Cessna 172 and replacing it with a DA-20, Diamond Eclipse 20. So tonight's going to be kind of a familiarization flight for me just to get back into that airplane. And I have here the checklist. So we got here a checklist I just want to show you. So this is just what I have in front of me. And we're going to do a walk around. We might do some circuits and I might go out to the area. Still no rudder pedals yet. I haven't invested in the rudder pedals as of yet, but will be shortly. I would like to do a spin on the Diamond, but you need full, I'm pretty sure you need full rudder deflection, like a quick rudder movement and stick all the way back to do a proper spin. So I just, yeah, we're going to get that up sooner than later though. So yeah. So what we're going to do, we're gonna just take a one step back from the what to do when you actually get to an airport to start flying. So I haven't talked about this, but basically, if you're a pilot, you walk in. Let's say you're walking into your flight club, and this kind of has a checklist here that you can kind of go through. So recent experience. So you want to make sure that your pilot is all recent, your medical's recent, and everything is good. Recent skill level. You want to make sure you feel skillful enough to go out and do what flight you're going to do. So you always want to have that self-awareness with your flight. Any illnesses that you may have, you may want to make sure you are safe to fly. Medication, stress. Stress is a big one, right? So if there's stress at home or stress in the workplace and you're going out to fly, then maybe you're not feeling it quite yet, but when you go up and let's say you just ask yourself, can you handle a non-critical emergency? Can you handle a critical emergency when you fly with the stress you're under? And if for any doubt, you may not want to fly, right? Or maybe you want to change it to, instead of doing a difficult flight, just do something that you can manage, right? So just have that self-awareness. Alcohol, obviously, that's an obvious one. I think I can't remember, but I think it's 8 hours ball to the throttle. So yeah, alcohol is definitely you don't want to drink and fly, obviously, for obvious reasons. Fatigue is a big one, and then your eating habits as well. Just make sure you're eating properly and feeling good. So aircraft is, you want to make sure the aircraft is airworthiness. Get the equipment status, engine performance. So engine performance, takeoff and landing. So one thing you would want to do when you arrive at your flight club is do a takeoff and landing performance chart. So you can go in your aircraft, you get the pressure or you get the altimeter setting, and you subtract it and you get your pressure altitude. You take that number and you can put it in your performance chart. I think Diamond has a POH. I'm not going to show that tonight, but if you go online, Diamond aircrafts actually have their POHs online, and you can see your takeoff and landing performance chart. So you can calculate that before taking off. And then also, if you know relatively when your plane should be taking off, you can have a go or no go decision when you take off. So let's say you're taking off runway 29 here, and every marker here is 500 feet. So this is 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. So this is a lot of runway for the Diamond, okay? So let's say you do your takeoff performance charts, and it's supposed to take off in about 1,000 feet, or 1,500 we'll say, just for kicks. 500, 1,000, 1,500. So you're supposed to be airborne from here to here. If you arrive, you can make this as a reference. If you get to the 2,000 foot marks and your plane's not airborne yet, then you may want to reject the takeoff, okay? Or you can give yourself a little bit more. You can say, you know what, if we're not airborne by around here, we're going to power to idle, full brakes, and we're not going to take off, right? Because there's something wrong with the performance of the aircraft preventing you from getting the performance that you basically worked out on your plane. So okay, so that's important to do. And gross weight and weight and balance. So you want to do a weight and balance, and you know what, weight and balance, let's go ahead and do that. I feel like this would be something that would be useful. I found a weight and balance. Just one sec. We'll see if we can get this up here. One moment, please. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do a weight and balance for the just one second. So DA20 weight and balance calculator. These are unofficial weight and balance calculators. If you were to fly in real life, then I wouldn't use this for obvious reasons. Let's get this up. So while I'm getting this set up, let's talk about what a weight and balance is. Basically, when you fly, you want to make sure your aircraft is in safe regulations based on the pilot operation handbook for taking off and landing and flying. So if your plane is nose heavy beyond its limits that the that Diamond prescribed based on all their tests that they did, then you may potentially have a dangerous aircraft because you don't know if the plane's gonna perform how it should, because maybe the manufacturers haven't tested the plane at that level. Okay, so if we go, here we go. So here is the Diamond DA20 weight and balance calculator. Okay, so here's kind of an example of, I just found this online. So we're gonna say we're taking off. I weigh about, we'll say 170 pounds. I'm going up with the student. Let's say he weighs 150 pounds. And we got full fuel for the flight, so it's 24 gallons. And we'll have 0 in the baggage compartment. And yeah, let's calculate and see. I don't know why this is here. This is supposed to, okay. Gross weight is 1641 and the moment is 16852. Why is this number out of moments? Okay, let me refresh this. Now it's all blank. No. We'll skip it for tonight. I'm not gonna I don't want to get too in depth on the weight and balance, but basically it's a way to calculate to make sure that your plane is in safe operations. And some of the factors that come into play are how much baggage you have in the aircraft, the weight of you, the weight of the passengers, the fuel, the gross weight of the airplane. And yeah, you got to make sure you're within weight and balance before taking off. That's all. And yeah, it's really important to do. DiamondAviators.net. It looks like Diamond has a lot of weight and balance information. We'll just skip it for today. But that's something you'd want to do. Basically, imagine we're in the flight school, or we're in like an area where you can do all your setup for your flight. You'd want to do a weight and balance. Okay, so after you feel you're ready to fly, the aircraft is safe to fly, it's airworthy. The next thing you want to do is we're going to do environment. So here is a checklist for environment that came. Zoom in here. It's kind of blurry. There we go. So I'm just looking at this here. Yeah, it's a little blurry. I'm not kidding. There we go, it's better. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is 1-800-WX-BRIEF. So this is a phone call you can call to file your flight plan if you were to file a flight plan. If you're doing it cross country, you have to file a flight plan to NAV Canada. And when you call them, you can also get a weather update, and they give a very thorough weather updates for your flights. They're very good and helpful to do that. Like even if you were doing a flight test, for example, you can, and you're doing a flight from Moncton to Halifax because when you're doing a flight test, you have to plan out across country. You can give them a call, and you can basically get a complete weather update on the flight, and they're very thorough and awesome to work with. Okay, deteriorating weather. So you got to make sure if there is any deteriorating weather, we look that up. Ceilings. A ceiling is basically where the cloud layer is, and a ceiling is when it's completely covered or mostly covered. So if you're flying VFR, you can't break through the ceilings, so you got to know where that is. Visibility, so your forward visibility, your winds, precipitation, icing, turbulence, density, altitude, darkness. So is it getting close to dark for your flight, and are you safe to go? If you were to lapse over into night flying, are you safe to fly at night? Terrain, so review any terrain that's in your flight path. Follow your flight plan. NOTAMs, NOTAMs means notice to airmen. So it's basically a report done by other pilots about any weather phenomena that would be important to know. Okay, so notice to airmen. And you can file a NOTAM and have it. So let's say you're flying and you're landing on a runway, and you get a really odd turbulence right before you land on a runway, and you want to report that. You can definitely do that, because that might help other airplanes so they know about it. Okay. TFRs. I don't know what that means. TFRs. Just gotta look that up. TFRs. Oh, that's okay. That's for U.S. flying. So graphic TFRs. This is new to me because I'm used to flying in Canada, and this is a American. Whoever did this checklist is American, so. I think TFRs, I'm gonna just Google that. So. Temporary flight restrictions. Okay. So temporary flight restrictions. Let's say there is something that is short term. Maybe there's a military exercise, or maybe there's some type of air show going on, stuff like that. You want to look up and see if there's anything that needs to be talked about in there. So, and then I really like this. So PAE, and the other, I like this checklist. It's really good. And then the last section talks about external. So passenger pressures, organizational pressure, and external distractions. So this is anything that could potentially distract you that is outside yourself. Your passengers. This is a big one. Like, let's say you're flying someone, but they're like distracted and they have other things that they're thinking about. They're not really focused on the flight. You know, this could be something that could affect you. You might be fine, but maybe one of your passengers or your buddy that you're flying is, you know, you got to make sure that they're okay. So just have that self-awareness external of you. Organizational pressure. Yeah, this could be something. So let's say you're flying for a company. Are you being pushed to fly below your limits? Stuff like that. And external distractions. Okay. So this is something. This is a very good little checklist for risk management, and I'm actually going to take this and make a copy of it. I'm going to post it on my wall, and I'm going to just use this for myself. It's pretty good. So yeah, that's good. All right, so we have velocity speeds. So VR is your rotation speed. So the Diamond's going to rotate at 44 knots. So when we take off, we're going to basically, oh, just 1 second. Oh, there we go. When we take off, we're going to be pitching back on the control column at around 44 knots. That's going to be a rotation speed. VX is our best angle, okay? 58 knots. So that's if we were flying over an obstacle. And our VA's maneuvering speed at 106. VG is our best glide at 73 knots. So VG is used if, let's say you have a engine failure, okay, and you need to put the plane into a best glide. That way you get your best gliding distance. So your aircraft will perform and go the farthest with an engine out situation at 73 knots, okay? And VY is your best rate, and that's 75 knots. Best rate is when you want to get up to your cruising altitude is in the least amount of time, okay? So that's it. Okay, so let's say we're taking out a Moncton. We went through this checklist. I'm going up and doing a familiarization flight for myself. So I'm not going to have any passengers tonight. It's just going to be me. I'm just trying to think. In the plane, there's actually 2 dudes in the plane. So we'll pretend that we have maybe a student going up with me he's getting familiar with it as well. Maybe like a new pilot who's looking to fly. He just wants to come up with me at the same time. You know what? Let's just say it's just me for tonight, okay? There's gonna be 2 people in the plane in the actual, like the way the DA-20 is, but pretend I'm gonna be flying by myself for the flight, but I'll be kind of explaining what I'm doing. And yeah, so let's go ahead and look at before taking off, let's go and look at the weather in Moncton. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go ahead to the Nav Canada website. So if you're new to XPlane 10, you can use real weather, meaning whatever the weather is going on outside, you can use that weather for your flight sim. Do this. Sorry for all this junk going on. Do this. Move that. Okay. So here we go. This is flightplanning.navcanada.ca. So we're going to be taking off Moncton. So so you click on METAR and the TAF. Okay. So the METAR is the current weather. The TAF is your, I think it's terminal area forecast, if I'm not mistaken. And it gives you the future weather, the forecasted weather. So if you're not sure the aerodrome ID, you can maybe click, we're going to be flying out of Moncton, right? So look up, and that should give you CYQM. Okay? So CYQM, Moncton, get the bulletin. Okay? So it's actually pretty, the weather's not so good here. So at 4 o'clock Zulu, okay, the winds are 030 at 10 knots. Okay. And this is true. Okay, this is not magnetic. So the winds are 030 at 10 knots, true. You need to add, I think it's here 20, you have to add 20 degrees to this to get the magnetic winds. Okay. It's 1.5 statute miles for forward visibility, light drizzle, mist, overcast at 300 feet, temperature 8, dew point 7. The altimeter setting is 2997, and remarks, I think this is stratofractus, or I can't, it's some type of cloud layer taking 8 octaves of the ceiling, sea level pressure 152. So this is not good weather for flying. Let's show you what that actually looks like in the flight sim. So let's go ahead and let's move this. Let's go ahead and put that up on the XPlane 10. So for tonight's flight, we're gonna have to use, we'll have to change the weather so it's safe. But let's take that situation and go outside and see what that looks like. So we'll go quick flight setup. We're going to use real winds and real date and time. So it's going to be pretty late at night. Let's put some light on those so we can actually see the weather a bit. So we'll go and do, let's put daytime and real winds. So the way we had it. So we'll go outside. Like, look at that. Look where the ceiling is, right? So this is really low visibility. If I took off in this, I'd be in the cloud before getting to my circuit altitude, which is, a circuit altitude is 1,000 feet above ground, okay? That's where you'd want to do your circuit, unless otherwise like specified. But a standard circuit in aviation is 1,000 feet above ground. Okay, so I can't even do a circuit flight in this weather. So this is IFR weather. Okay, we want to fly VFR today, so we're gonna change the weather based on what. So we're not going to use the real weather, but at least we got used to looking up the weather, and that's important to be able to do. So let's go and we'll go few clouds and we'll fly, let's try sunset, few clouds, see what that, no, whoops, quick flight setup, sunset, and we'll go a few clouds. I don't like that. We'll do daytime. Daytime, and we'll try scattered, see what that gives us. So we got a scattered cloud layer. Okay, we'll fly with this. So let's get rid of this. We won't be doing any radio calls on the network, on the IVAO network. So we'll get rid of that. And we're going to move the airplane out here. So we'll do gate 3. We'll see where the plane is here. We'll just move the aircraft more towards the flight school. Right here. And then we'll turn the plane around. There we go. That's a good place to start. Perfect. Okay, so let's shut the plane down. That's alternate air. No, it's the canopy door. Is it actually, let's have a look here. Okay. One second. Just trying to figure out where they put the mixture lever here. We'll use that, I guess, fuel selector. So, okay. This freeware aircraft for DA-20 is not 100% accurate, but who cares? It's a flight simulator. We'll do our best. Maybe I'll try to find a payware DA-20, and it might be a little bit more accurate, but for tonight we'll use this. It's fine. We'll keep updating everything little by little. Oh, I'm right by that pole. That's kind of interesting. Okay. So, we checked the weather. We're safe to fly. The dude inside here is in good conditions. We went through all the risk management checklists. We did a weight and balance. We're in within the limits. We did our crosswind component chart. We are safe for the crosswind. I believe the DA-20 can handle 20 knots of crosswind. And yeah, you want to make sure your aircraft is able to take the amount of crosswind for flight. We're going to have very little winds today because I don't have my rudder pedals yet, so I don't want to take off in a crosswind because it won't be pretty. So we'll keep it fun for tonight, or light winds. That will be for a future flight. And I think if you look at the windsock, the winds are pretty calm. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our walk around. And yeah, I'll show you what I'm doing on this checklist. I'll help you guys. So if you are using our XPlane 10, I would recommend maybe printing off a checklist for your plane, just because that can help you Okay, so I'm going to be following this checklist here. So Hobbs and tack time record on sheet. So I'm going to record my Hobbs number for the airplane. The Hobbs is basically the time your engine's running. Okay, so it records your engine, how much your engine is running. Okay, airworthiness. So we have our airworthy certificate inside the airplane registration. We're within operational limits, and our weight and balance is good. Okay, temperature sticker. Check if OAT is over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a little sticker in the diamond, and basically if it heats up to a certain degree, which is 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it changes color. So we are good. We're not 100 degrees Fahrenheit in Moncton. So flight controls lock removed. So here what I'm doing is I'm going in the plane, and there's control locks that prevent the ailerons from moving from the winds. It's attached from the joystick to the front of the airplane. We pull that out, okay? So the control locks should be in right now. I'm taking them off. Ignition switch. Key hung on altimeter knob off. So make sure ignition switch is off and the key is inside the plane. Throttle to idle, mixture, the red knob levers, idle cutoff, master switch on. So let's go in the plane and put our master switch on. Inside the plane we go. Okay, so we're going to turn that on. Master switch, red double rocker switch. Okay, so that's the red double rocker switch. If you're looking for your master switch, it's this one here. And that's going to turn on the electrics warning lights. Generator and canopy. So we should see the generator light and canopy light on. Boom, boom. So we want that. And this one shouldn't be on, but I'm not sure why the fuel pressure light is on, but oh, maybe because, I don't know. We'll just, not gonna worry about it right now. But if this light was on in real life, I'd probably wonder why, but that's okay. Warning lights. Generator and canopy. Okay, I just did that. Fuel quantity. Check quantity. So we're gonna check our fuel quantity in the aircraft. And right now we got half tanks. So let's go ahead and add fuel. And we're gonna put full tanks. So right now we got 1.9 hours of endurance in the plane. We're gonna go and go full fuel. That's 3.8 hours. So let's look here, make sure we got a increase in fuel. Yep, it's good. Okay, so let's say we went in the plane, we saw half tank, so we wanted to fuel it up. We would go over to where the fuel tank is, which is 100 low lead. And when you go and fuel the plane, there's a we'll get into that later, don't worry about it. Interior and exterior lights, check operation. So we're gonna turn on all the lights and we're gonna go outside and see if they're working. Nav lights, avionics. So avionics are working. We're gonna walk outside and check the lights. We got red light, green light, flashing lights. And I think there should be, oh, there it is, boom. Okay, so lights are operating. So we're gonna go back in the plane, turn everything off so we don't waste our battery before doing the rest of the walk around. Oh wait, there's a couple more checks here. So flaps, extended recheck. Okay, so first I want to check your flaps. So we'll go put them down. Oh, boom. Okay, flaps are one notch of flaps working. Full flaps are working. See that? That is good. So we know our flaps are working. We'll put them back up. We can audibly hear it, that's good. And gen bat off. Baggage net is attached, so there's a baggage net behind us, sort of. In the real plane, there's like a baggage net here, so we make sure that's attached here and here. Okay, let's go to the plane. So main wheel tire, check inflation, wear, and cracks. So the main wheel tire, we're checking that. And if there's any wheel chocks, we remove them. The wheel chocks are basically used to prevent the plane from moving because of the winds or gravity or whatever, so we'll take them off. And we check the tire, check the brakes. Feel for pad, check for fluid leak. If the brakes are leaking, you'll see fluid on the ground, so we check for that. Left wing leading edge visual inspection, so we're visually inspecting here. Stall warning operator, check, apply light section. So what this means, in the Diamond, there is a stall horn that it's about here, I think. And if you suck lightly into it, it simulates as if you were stalling. You should hear a little horn go off. So if that happens, then that's good. Heat static probe, remove cover, check openings clear. So we're gonna remove the cover here. The reason there's a cover is because let's say we don't want to get anything into the little holes here. It could be like little ants or anything. So we're gonna remove this and check, make sure the openings are clear. So making sure the openings are clear here, underneath here, and in the back. Tie down is removed, so our tie down from the winds are removed. Landing and taxi lights, visual inspection. So we saw that they're turned on. We're just going to visually inspect, make sure everything's all good. Wingtip position, lights and strobes, visually inspect. So I'm going to wingtip. I'm going to just kind of go here on the plane and kind of look around. Also, you always want to kind of look around the perimeter of the plane, making sure if there's anything unusual. You know, it could be you see like a screw in the ground or anything. Just want to always look around, get good situational awareness. Kind of when you're doing your walk around, it's like don't get tunnel vision, just kind of pull back and kind of look around. That's what I like to do, just to kind of see if there's anything unusual. It could be, you know, there's a story where a airplane actually flew off with the chocks. The chocks is basically what covers the wheel, right? Well, one of the chocks were left here and they took off, and the chocks were found on the highway in Moncton. This actually happened. So just always want to be careful with your inspection. Okay. So wingtip position, lights and strobes, visually inspect. Okay. Left wing trailing edge. Aileron balance weight visual inspection. So the mass balance, there's a weight here in the aircraft that's a little bit heavier, and it basically helps balance the aileron so it doesn't flutter in the wind. So you want to check that little piece. It's not really on the simulator here, but it's okay. Stall warning openings, check. Apply light suction. Just 1 sec. Let's go through the checklist here. Aileron check. So we're checking the ailerons, making sure there's free movements. So that aileron that you see straight in front of it, I'm actually moving it up and down with my hand and just making sure it's able to move. Flaps secure, light tug, check inspection panel. So we want to make sure our flaps are secured. So I just tug it lightly and making sure the flaps should be basically locked into place. So that's what we want to see. Perfect. Okay, so fuselage. Visual inspection. So we're visually going to look at the plane and see if they're just visually inspection. Maybe take my hand and move it across. Inspect that. Skin in the underside. So fuel tank vent, check for obstruction. So there's a fuel tank vent under here. You want to make sure that it is free. I believe it's that right there. Always, if you are a real life pilot, always talk to your certified flight instructor. That's my disclaimer. Because I might mistakenly, you know, I'm doing my best, but there might be something, because I haven't flown in a couple of years, so there might be something but I'm pretty sure that's the fuel vent. And I'll keep doing my best to do things accurate as possible. Fuel drains, drain check for contaminants. So we're going to take the fuel drain underneath the plane and push up on it, and you're going to see a little bit of a light blue fuel, 100 low lead. And if you see any little rocks or anything in it, or a different color or water, then you may want to, you know, look into that. If you see water, you keep dumping it until you see light blue. Okay. Fuel quantity measure. So we're going to take the dipstick. Maintenance fuel drains, no leaks. Fuel quantity measure. We're going to take the dipstick and put the stick in and measure the fuel. So the fuel is, I don't think they have it properly here, but I believe it's like right here. So you open it, put the dipstick, there's this wooden stick in the airplane, put it in and then take it out quickly, and you're gonna see a line where the fuel is before it evaporates, and then you can see that it should be full tanks, okay? Antennas, visual inspection. So we're gonna check any antennas that are on the plane. Empennage, stabilizer control surface check, freedom of hinges. So we're gonna inspect here. I like to take the plane and pull down on this, and it basically goes down, and you can visually inspect here. Maybe there was a bird that is hanging out here, or any type of wildlife or anything, so you always want to check the top here, and that's good to do. Oh, did you guys see that? A car just drove by. Interesting. Okay. Tail tie down is disconnected. Fixed tab on rudder, visual inspection. So there is a trim tab here that maintenance adjusts based on getting, basically there's a little trim tab, I think it's like here or something, if it is here. Basically it's used to have the plane straight and level in flight, and it's just slowly adjusted based on the what maintenance feels is the best straight and level aircraft performance. So they can go and test it, and if it's off by a couple degrees, they'll adjust this little trim tab, and it's basically it's kind of a trim to make sure the plane is straight and level with minimum controls on your part. So it just makes it easier to fly straight and level. Okay, but you never want to touch that piece. It's always adjusted. The angle's adjusted by the by maintenance. Right wing flap secured, light tug. So we're going to check the flaps here. White wing tie down is disconnected. Main wheel tire check. So we're going to check the main wheel tire, making sure that the wheels are good to go. There's no flat tire. Nose of the airplane. So we're going to go to engine oil level. So we're going to check maximum 6, minimum 5. So we're going to go here. The oil cap is, so we're going to inspect here. We did inspection all the way in here. The oil cap is in here. So we're going to open it, and then there's a little stick that you pull out. So we want it be 5 and 6. I think it's quarts, measured in quarts, I believe. Engine cowling is secured, so we're checking here, making sure everything is secure. Engine cooling inlets clear of any obstruction. So in here, making sure there's no bird's nest that started. Maybe a bird is in here, any type of animals. You never know, any type of wildlife. So we're gonna check in here, anything at all. So making sure maybe a rock got in here somehow, or a tennis ball. So you always want to check underneath here. Alternator belt check. So we're going to check the alternator belt. The alternator belt is basically a belt that is connected from the battery to the engine. It's a because when the engine is running, it's charging the battery, and we're also getting the engine turning on the avionics. So there's a belt that you have to inspect in here. Propeller and spinner check for any nicks and cracks on the propeller. So visually take your hand and move it across here, making sure there's nothing, no rocks or any nicks or cracks. I like to actually take my hand and do it. Propeller and spinner, good. Air filter check. So we check the air filter, and it's clean. Exhaust pipe check. Secured, light tug. So there's an exhaust pipe underneath here, so just lightly tug the exhaust pipe. Nose wheel, front tire, check inflation, wear and cracks. There we go. So that's our walk around. Okay, passenger briefing. So, passenger briefing. Give information on taxi seats, how the seatbelts are working, how the harnesses are working. Canopy, how to basically open and close the canopy and how to use it. The emergency locator, emergency equipment. So we have a fire extinguisher in the back, how to use that. There's a hammer in the back if you ever need to like use it to escape the plane. I let the passenger know always look out for traffic. Cockpit. So on takeoff, taxi, and landing, it's better not to talk to the pilots, and so that's important to let him know. If you're feeling sick when you're flying with me, please let me know. I have a sick sack in the in my knee board, and I had some passengers get sick on me. I had a student, Asian student, throw up after doing spins. It's funny, my stomach's actually getting a little woozy right now just thinking about it. I remember flying and doing spins with a student, and he threw up, and I had to open the window. Oh, I'm just getting flashback from it. It's funny, my stomach's actually feeling it. Wow. Okay. Anyways, that's funny. It's funny how if you memorize something, you get an actual reaction in yourself. Before engine start, okay. So but also for the passenger briefing, I would let them know there's a yellow box in the back of the plane. In the event that we do land somewheres and we land hard, that yellow box turns on. It sends a signal to get someone to rescue us. But for any reason it doesn't turn on that yellow box. So I'd explain that to the passenger, which is the emergency locator transmitter. Okay, so before engine start, pre-flight inspection is complete. The pedals are adjusted and locked. So on the Diamond, there's on the below there's a lever, and making sure your pedals are moved towards where you can get full rudder deflections. So that's what you want to get. Safety belt is fastened. Parking brake is set. So you always want to set the parking brake before starting the engine for obvious reasons. Fuel shut-off valve is on, pushed in. So let's go in our plane. Okay, fuel shut-off valve, so we'll put our mixture to full rich. And there's no, yeah, the plane's not exactly the way, is this, what do we have here? So this is connected to the throttle. Parking brake is on, cabin heat. Carb heat. The A20s don't have carb heat. That's okay. Is this the pitch? I don't think, oh, I'm not sure. Okay, no worries. Weapons. I guess the Diamonds now have, the DA20 now has weapons. That's interesting. Okay, no worries. This is a, okay. So pre-flight inspection complete, pedals are adjusted and locked, safety belts is set, parking brake is on, pushed in. Electric equipment switches are off, so I'm looking at all my electrics and they should be off, so we'll turn all that off. Circuit breakers are checked in, so I'm taking my hand and moving it across these circuit breakers. If I see something popped out like this, see how that circuit breaker's popped out. So I do my circuit breaker checks. Oh, what the heck? So this popped out. Press it once. If it goes back in, then you're good. If you try pressing it once and it stays popped out like that, then there's something wrong with this specific circuit breaker, and you'd have to check into it. Okay. So, whoops. What is this? Not sure what that is. Okay. I can't really read that. Not sure. When I print this, it didn't really come out properly. We'll have to get that figured out. Avion's master switch is off, master switch on. So we'll turn the master switch on. Gen warning light is illuminated, so this is illuminated here. Exterior lights, we'll just turn the, it's daytime, we don't really need. We'll put the lights on. Maybe taxi lights, should be fine. Instrument panel lights, not required because it's day. Canopy is closed and locked, so I'm taking the canopy, making sure it's closed. So this should be closed here. Canopy on lock warning light is off. So if the canopy is closed, this light should be off, which it is. Perfect. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do our engine start now. So engine start check. Mixture, red lever is full rich. So this is to make sure that all the fuel is basically going towards the engine on starting up. Okay. When you bring the mixture back, which is the red lever in the aircraft, basically what's happening is you're getting more air and less fuel into the engine. Okay. But on startup, we're gonna do a mixture full rich. Throttle is to idle. Brakes are holding. So I'm taking the brakes in the plane and I'm holding onto it. So we have the parking brakes on, but I'm also holding onto the brakes at the same time with the rudder pedals. It's on top of the rudder pedals, so I'm putting my feet down on the brakes. Okay. Prop area. So shout clear and wait and look. So I'm yelling, I'm gonna open a little door, clear, and then I'm also looking around and making sure no one's around the propeller. Never start an airplane if someone's close to the propeller. It's very dangerous. Fuel pump is on. Fuel primer is on. So we'll do that. See if I can find that in the simulator. I don't think we're gonna need, we might need a fuel pump and maybe a little bit of prime. So that lever, not sure where it is in the plane. We'll give it maybe a little bit of, I'm not even sure if this is the mixture lever. So when I pull that back, the throttle's going back with it for some reason. Okay, because this should be a red lever. That's okay. I'll bring this, keep this to idle. So we got the fuel pump on and primer on. Primer is basically putting raw fuel into the engine on startup, so you may want to turn on for a bit. Every airplane has like a different startup procedure. So we don't want to flood the engine by putting too much fuel into it on startup as well. So fuel for prime, 1 second warm, and if it's cold out, 5 to 10 seconds. Throttle to idle, right hand on throttle, ignition to both, and throttle to 1,000 RPM. Okay. So let's go ahead and start the plane. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking outside. My right hand's on the throttle, and we're gonna go and start the aircraft. Left hand is on the ignition switch. Good. So let's start it. That's a good feeling. And we'll bring the throttle to 1,000 RPM. Just looking for the RPM gauge in the simulator here. Where the heck is it? Okay, they don't have RPM, it's under manifold pressure. Oh, there it is. I'm looking at it right now. So we'll go to 1,000 RPM. Okay, so engine starts up. I'm looking really quickly at any lights, anything that could potentially have went wrong on the engine startup. Checking my temperatures and pressures very quickly, looking outside, looking for traffic, anything at all. Okay, and then usually I do that, and then I go ahead and finish up with the checklist. That's in front of me. Check, check, check. Okay. So starter warning light is off. So I press the starter warning light inside the plane. Fuel prime is off. Oil pressure check. So we want to be within the green arc within 30 seconds. Lights at night, navigation, taxi is on, but we're flying. And then mixture 1 inch, lean 1 inch. So we're testing the lights. Oh, there's our Hobbs, 2.5. So I'm going to write down the Hobbs start. I got my knee board. Hobbs start, 2.5. Hobbs stop. Time up, time down. For taxi checks and interior lights are pushing to test. So these lights pop up in the event that there's something going on in the airplane. So if you see fuel pressure, or if you see ice detect or canopy, if this light's come on, that means your canopy's open, right? The reason when this button is here is to make sure the lights are working. Because if you press this and one of the lights aren't working, it's very hazardous, because if you get something happen to your generator, for example, you won't even know about it, right? So we're always pushing this button to test what's going on in the plane. Engine gauges check. So we're checking all of our engine gauges. Okay. Manifold pressure, green. Green. Oil pressure is in the green. Good. Voltage is good. Amperage is good. Fuel quantity is full. I was checking that. Avion's master switch is on. So we're going to turn our Avion's master switch on. We're going to put our headset on at this point in our... Maybe I should go and put my headset on. Or is that too... Let me go get my headset. I'll show you guys what that looks like, and maybe I'll actually put it on. We'll see, just a sec. So I got a Sennheiser headset here. So you'd want to plug these two, there's two of these that go inside the plane. You just plug them in basically, and you just simply put them on like this, and you want to adjust this here, and yeah. These are really comfortable, and also there's a lever here to change the volume inside. So you may want to change that. So okay, and you want to also have about an inch of space in here to make the radio calls. That's usually a good way to do it. And also too, you can adjust the sensitivity to how quickly your mic picks up the volume, and you can change that inside the plane. Okay, so there's that. You can do that. So all right. Avionics master switch on, and then avionics radio set. So let's go ahead and avionics master switch on. So let's go get the ATIS. So in Moncton it's 128.65.
Conditions 4100 broken, temperature 2.6. Altimeter 2992. Arriving and departing runway 06. Advise on initial contact you have Quebec. Greater Moncton INTL information Quebec. 1600 Zulu weather.
Okay, so I got the ATIS information Quebec. So we'll switch over to Moncton ground and then Moncton tower on standby. So we'll be starting to just doing circuits. So we won't be needing the air traffic frequency on standby. So that should be fine. Okay, so we got the ATIS and clearance. So clearance. So I maybe make a radio call to request. We're gonna do the run up on this side of the airport for tonight. So where we are now, which is fine, is the tower at this airport's like kind of directly behind us. So we're gonna go and just turn the plane, do the run up away from maybe a couple other planes. Transponder, ELT and squawk VFR. We'll just skip that because we're gonna get a transponder code. This is probably a checklist done at an uncontrolled airport or something. So we'll skip that. We'll just put. I'm just gonna cross it out. Maybe transponder standby. Altimeter set, current altimeter setting. So the current altimeter set is 2992. That was attained by ATIS. So let's go inside the plane and let's put this here so you guys can see. So in here is the altimeter setting. So we'll go to 2992. Okay, so once you set your altimeter setting, it should indicate roughly very, very, very close to the actual altitude of the city that you're flying or where you're flying out of. So Moncton, the elevation is 232. If I saw a 200, a 300, or even 400, there's definitely something up here, okay? Maybe double check your altimeter setting, but if not, then you may not want to take off because there could be something wrong with your altimeter instrument, okay? So be careful with that. Radios test. Okay, so just test the volume on your radios. So you can pull out the knobs here, turn the volume on and off. Instrument panel lights as required, so that's fine. Taxi lights as required. Park and brake release. So we're gonna go ahead and another thing I want to do is let me see if I can get the Moncton ground, the actual real life radios going on in the background. Let me see if I can do that. So I'm going to live ATC. I want to see if I can get Moncton ground here. So CYQM, because maybe we can listen to Moncton ground while we're doing all this. So Moncton ground is 121.8. Oh, it's not working. There's an archive though. Let's go November 1st. See if I can get anything. Okay, I can't get it to work for now. That's too bad. Okay, we'll get some other time. What I'm gonna do is I'll have the live ground so you can actually hear what's going on while we're setting everything up, just to kind of simulate what it'd be like to be at the airport. Oh, that's too bad. That'd be pretty cool. Let me check YouTube. Maybe there's something there. I'm not getting anything. Okay, we'll do it another time. Okay, so parking brake release. So we'll go do our engine run up. So taxi checks and engine run up. So as I'm starting to taxi, I'm going to test the brakes. I'll test my attitude indicator, my turn coordinator, and heading indicator, and then we'll start our engine run up. So ideally, you want to do the engine run up away. You want to have an idea where you're going to do it. You want to do it away from other aircrafts. It's good airmanship on the ground. So we'll let go of the parking brake and so right now I'd be moving the plane with rudders. My rudders are not working at this time, but so right now my heading indicator is showing a decrease in numbers. My wing is left, ball is right. Attitude indicator is steady. My compass is free and floating, so I'm just checking my instruments while we're setting up for the run up. Winds are calm, so it's doesn't really matter where we do the run up, meaning you want to normally do the run up into the wind, but the winds are pretty calm right now. So we'll just do it away from other planes. I'm going to turn around here and so let's pretend there's like ups. Oh, there's a something interesting. So we'll do it away. If I look down here, maybe you know what? Can we cross this line? We'll pretend this is the edge of the apron here. So we're at the very edge of the apron, and we're gonna do the run up here. So there's no one behind us. So that's a good place to do it. And yeah. Oh, you can see through your. There's the engine. It's cool. Okay. Back in the plane. Engine run up, parking brake is sec. Parking brake set and hold. Safety belts are fastened. Canopy is closed and locked. Fuel shutoff valve is open. Fuel pressure, no red line. Fuel quantity indicator, check. We're checking for full tanks. Okay. So full tanks. Elevator trim is free and correct, so I'm moving my elevator trim neutral. So we want to trim the aircraft, so it's neutral. Your trim of the diamond has an indicator here, so we want it maybe one notch down or neutral. Flight controls free and correct, so we're moving the flight controls and we're looking outside to making sure that they're indicating what we want. Oil temperature is 75 degrees minimum. So we're checking that. Mixture, test power, throttle. We'll go keep mixture full rich, throttle to 1700. Magnetos test. So we're gonna do a mag check. Left. There should be a small drop in RPM when we do a mag check. Both. Right. Small drop in RPM. That's what we want to see. Maximum drop 150 RPM each, and the maximum difference should be 50. If you see any abnormal drops in RPM, then you want to talk to maintenance and get this figured out. First thing you could do is maybe add some RPM, see if the magnetos are just, there's some gunk on it and you want to run it off. But if not, then you want to talk to maintenance or snag the plane, or let them know, snag it. Oil pressure is in the green arc. Oil temperature is in the green arc. Engine gauges, no red line. So green arc, it's good. Vacuum gauge is in the green arc. So the vacuum gauge is normally here. I don't see one in the plane, so that's fine. Ammeter. Should be a little bit above the 0. That's good. Annunciator panel, nothing is illuminated. Throttle to idle, check, close, engine still runs. So we want to bring the power to idle and making sure the engine doesn't shut down. And it doesn't, that's good. And then we want to bring the RPM back to 1,000. Circuit breakers are all checked in, so we're pressing here. Before takeoff checks, flaps is to takeoff settings, so we'll do 1 notch of flaps. Where can I put this? Let's put checklist down here. Once we take off, I'm going to be moving the checklist so it doesn't distract what we see outside. So. Okay, so we want 1 notch of flaps to take off. Mixture is full rich. I want to keep it full rich. Best power? No, just full rich. So I want mixture full rich. Heading indicator aligned with compass. So we're just checking to make sure our heading indicator and our compass are indicating the correct heading. Landing lights we want on. Strobes are on. Radios and navigation equipment is set. So we're gonna have 121.8, 128. If we do decide to go to the area when we're out there, we can have planning to just do circuits for right now, so we'll just have Moncton Ground and Moncton Tower. Transmitter selector is on column 1. Intercom receiver selector, column 1. GPS, flight plan, enter, skip for that. Skip that. So this is for, yeah, we don't have to worry about that. Nav aids, we don't have to worry about that. Takeoff briefing. So let's do a takeoff briefing. So in the event of emergency affecting the safety of flight before our takeoff, I'm going to power to idle, apply even brakes, and land straight ahead. If I take off if we take off, there's sufficient runway and we have an engine failure, I'm going to pitch for 60, land straight ahead. If I take off and I have insufficient runway, I'll make small movements to avoiding obstacles, pitch for 60, land straight ahead. And our go or no-go point will be maybe 2,000 feet down the runway. So if we're not taking off by 2,000 feet, I'll have my go no-go point in my mind on takeoff. If that's not, if we're not airborne by then, we'll reject the takeoff. Our VY, or VX62 VY, this is with flaps. Okay. So we just have our speeds here. So approach speed for today's flights will be for normal landing 60. So we'll approach for 60 knots for approach. And VY, so we'll be climbing out at 74 knots for VY with flaps. Departure instructions, so we're going to be doing circuits. We'll be getting instructions by Moncton Tower on the flights. Okay. Okay, so next is the before entering runway checks. We'll put that there. So if this was my checklist and I was actually flying, my checklist would be on the side. I put it underneath my leg, and I can visually, so I can feel and I know where my checklist is, and that's where I keep it. It's because I know I can feel it, that's where it is, so I know exactly where it is. I go through my checks, and then I just have it ready for my next checks, and I put it back there. So okay, so we're done for that. So I'm gonna call Moncton ground. So Moncton ground, it is DA20 or Delta Echo Alpha Golf Juliet. We're color code green with information Quebec. Looking to do circuits for about an hour and a half. Run ups complete. Looking for taxi instructions to the active. Okay, so he's gonna say Alpha, Roger that, Alpha Golf Juliet, and he would give us the updated winds. So the winds are calm and the active runway 06, and he said we're clear to, let's just get the free camera. So he says we're clear to taxi to Charlie, runway 29, and we're cleared to hold short of 06. Okay, so that was our instructions from tower. So our read back is hold short runway 06, and then we give our call sign. Okay, so we're cleared all the way to hold short of runway 06. So we can't cross this line. So we have to read back the hold instructions. So we're gonna go Alpha to Charlie to runway 29, hold short runway 06. So we can do that right now. Let's go back in the plane. Head and bug sets, altitude, cruising altitude, recoil, transponder, fuel pump is on, time up and brakes. So. So right now I'd be wanting to taxi with rudder pedals, but I don't have rudder pedals installed. So I'm doing my best with ailerons. But normally your rudders would be used to taxi, and then your aileron would be, if it's the winds are in front of you, you'd want the stick into the wind. Okay. If the winds were behind you, you'd want the stick with the same direction of the winds. Okay, so just, it's easier to taxi. We'll go through that on another flight when I have my rudder pedals. But for now, we'll skip that. So I'm going to do another instrument check. So numbers are increasing. Wing left, wing right, ball left. Compass is free and floating. Wing left, ball right. Numbers are decreasing. Compass is free and floating. I can't wait to get my rudders. I think that will be awesome. So we've been cleared all the way to runway, hold short runway 11. And at this point, let's say he says contact tower now. So we'll switch. Tower. So we're going from Moncton ground to Moncton tower. So now we're on the Moncton tower frequency. This runway is not being used, so no problem. I really like the camera view where you can go up and look around the airport. That gives you kind of a good situational awareness of the airport you're flying at. So I think that's kind of cool. Taxi a little too fast. I'm just gonna put a little bit of brakes. I smell campfire outside where I live. It smells good. Okay, so put the brakes on. Transponder is we're gonna put it to standby, and let's say he gives us a new squawk code of 4200. So that's our new squawk code. Squawk ident. This button you press if tower tells you to click squawk ident. So when you click on that, there's on his little screen he has a big thing that kind of pops up on in his radar. And that helps him identify you. So time up, we'll say 9:30 p.m. my time, but we'll say it's 12 o'clock. We're taking off at lunchtime, local. Okay, so we switch to Moncton Tower, and he says, okay, winds are calm, and you're cleared to take off runway 24, and we're gonna do a left-hand circuit. Left-hand circuit, clear takeoff runway 24. So takeoff checks, aircraft is aligned with center line, timer is start, throttle, RPM, all that will be doing that in the air. And the rest of the checks will be from memory for circuits. So we're gonna go ahead. Let's pause this. Let's get rid of the checklist for now. That goes there. Brakes are on. So I'm gonna make a right-hand turn, and another, if you know which runway you're taking off, you can kind of confirm with your heading indicator. that you're going in the right direction, because you never want to take off in the wrong direction. So a good way to double check that is just look at your heading indicator, and it should be the same number as the runway. So, oh boy, just one sec. I'm not on the center line. So, are the brakes on? No. Sorry about that. So we're cleared to take off. We'll do a left-hand circuit. So full power is achieved. Airspeed's alive. Temperatures and pressures are good. We're gonna rotate. 55 knots. And we're off. Okay, always look before turning. So that's going to be our runway 06 as parallel. So I'm looking for that lake. We're still climbing to circuit altitude, so no more than 15 degrees of angle of bank. So at 1,232, which is our circuit altitude, I'm going to set up just for our circuit. Nice and parallel. Attitude. Power to cruise. So it's about 2,200 RPM for cruise power. So boom, look at that, 2,200 RPM. I'm looking down to that lake, so I'm flying straight that way, and the plane's trimmed out. So Moncton Tower, Alpha Golf Juliet is on left downwind for a stop and go for runway 06. Okay, let's say he says you're number 3, follow the King Air on 4 miles final. And so the diamond landing, and then King Air is number 2, so we're gonna be number 3. So we'll keep flying out here. Number 3. We'll do our left to right check, so lights are good. Good. Mixture is in. Circuit breakers are all in. Temperature pressures are all what we want. Okay, that's good. So right now I'm waiting to get the King Air on my wingtip. Once he's on my wingtip, I'm going to be good to turn on my base. So he's flying, so he's about here. Okay, so I'm good to make my turn. So look out before turning. I'm picking a 90-degree reference point, so about here, the edge of that lake. Start our turn. I have flaps all the way down. That's why we're flying so slow. See this? I have my flaps all the way down, and I didn't want that. I wanted my flaps all the way... just one sec. That's why we're getting such a crappy performance. When we were climbing out, I'm like, why are we climbing out so slow? It's because I dumped full flaps, which is not good. So there we go. That's more better. That's a little faster. So we're going to be turning on to final. At this point, I can make the runway safely, so I'm going to bring the power back to about 1500 RPM. 15 to 1700 RPM probably. We'll put 1 notch of flaps down, and then we're going to make our turn. Once the airplane is in the white arc, which it is, we're safe to do full flaps. So we'll go full flaps. Oh, wrong way. So it's good that we're doing circuits so I get used to this plane, right? There we go. So we got full flaps, pitch for 60, and we're gonna go ahead and land. All right, so tower clears us to land, runway 06, gives us the updated winds. Winds are calm. So that King Air landed, and he's now taxiing out. We'll pretend the King Air is here now, so he's off the runway. So we got the entire runway to play with. Keeping our approach for 60 knots. When I'm doing circuits, all I'm doing is my downwind checks. So for circuits, what we do is just do our left to right checks in here. If we were to go out to the area, what I would be doing is doing my checks at that point. So our checklist is just to the side for right now. Okay, cruise attitude. Bring the power back. Just hold this attitude. There we go. And we'll say we're cleared the touch and go, so we'll just take off right away. I should put my flaps back, but I didn't. One notch of flaps. So taking off for best 68. Picking a reference point out there to fly towards. 2 positive rates. We're gonna go full flaps. So let's see here. There we go. That's good. Much better. Now we're going to be climbing out a lot better than the first circuit. So look up before turning. We'll pick a reference point that maybe that hot air balloon in between these 2 hot air balloons. 15 degrees angle bank. Stepping on the ball, right now I'd be adding left rudder. So I'm going to press 5 on the keyboard, or 6. 6 centers the rudder, right? So, because right now we're not coordinated. Come on, come on, come on. I can't wait to get the rudder pedals. It's going to make a huge difference. But one step at a time. We're getting our circuit to altitude 1,232. So what you want to do is, you say your rate of climb is 600 feet. You take 10% of that, so 60 feet. That's when you want to start leveling off. So you want to anticipate I want to go to circuit altitude, which is 1,232. The elevation at Moncton's 232, so add 1,000 for circuit altitude. And when we're 10% of that, we start our leveling off, okay? So we'll go bring the attitude to cruise attitude. So If I put my fist right now on the dashboard, it would go right where the horizon is. So that's good. That's what we want. And then we're in the power back. It's about 2200 RPM. Boom. And then trim the airplane. So if I let go of everything, it should be flying by itself. So we'll look up before turning. 30 degrees. 20 to 30 degrees on the turn here. Nice and coordinated. So there's our active runway. We're a little bit, like right now we're flying a little bit off. We want to be parallel with the runway. This wing here, tip, should be just touching the runway, and we should be flying straight down like this. We should be picking the reference point out there where the lake is, right? And we should be, if I look outside, the wingtip should be, for the DA-20 should be pretty much touching this runway in parallel. So that's good. Moncton Tower. Alpha Golf Juliet is left down for runway 06. Request a full stop for runway, or touch and go for, sorry. Request and touch and go for runway 11. Okay, that's approved. We are number 2, follow the Cessna, after the Cessna that's landing 06. Number 2 with the traffic. So I'm going to do a runway change. I basically want to request runway 11 just for practice to switch runways. So we had runway 06 the active, but so let's say I had a student, I just want to mix things up. We got runway 11 now as the active. So it just changes the setup here. So we're going to do our left to right checks. Boom, 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 boom. Everything looks good. Circuit breakers are in. We'll bring the power back. Okay, we can make the runway. I'm looking at my runway 06, and I'm having a 90-degree angle with runway 06. Picking a reference point out there, it's 90 degrees. We're coming up to our final turn. Getting the plane pitched for 60, so I'm pitching back. We'll dump some flaps. Go full flaps. Pitch controls airspeed. Power controls your rate of climb, rate of descent. So right now I want to pitch for 60. If I want to adjust that, all I do is move the mouse up and down. Okay. Oh, we're going to keep turning here. So the Cessna landed on runway 11, or runway 06, and we're clear to, we're number 1 for runway number 11. I'm going to add a little bit of throttle. We're coming in a little low here. Okay, tower says you're cleared to land runway 11. Clear to land, Alpha Golf Juliet. So right now we're going to be hitting the 500 foot marks, or maybe 1,000 foot marks in between there. So we're going to transition here, but the plane's going to land 500 feet afterwards. Okay, so landing a little crooked, just adjusting. Power to idle, cruise attitude. So I'm floating for about roughly 500 feet. We're gonna, solid, good job. So we'll put flaps, and we're gonna take off right away. .55 knots, rotate, pitch up. Okay, let's say we had an engine failure right now. Boom. What would you do? Well, pitch for 60. We have enough runway. We land straight ahead. Okay? But we'll take off, though. What would you do if you had an engine failure right now? So This is what I've been trained. If you have an engine failure right now, if we try to turn around and make the runway, we would probably crash in here and be uncoordinated. So you'd want to land straight ahead, okay? Because we don't have enough runway to land at this runway. So we may want to go for the road here with traffic, or you may want to, that's probably what I would do. So if we had an engine failure right here, so engine failure, I'd make small corrections and go for the road into traffic. Okay, so we'll take off here. Tower, Alpha Golf Juliet is requesting right-hand circuits for runway 11. That's approved. You're cleared for the right-hand circuit. So I'm going to switch it up. Add a control zone. If you look at the CFS at where you're flying, you can do left-hand or right-hand circuits. Okay, so I'm just requesting right-hand circuits. So we'll do it on the right-hand side. Look before turning. Picking a reference point. Maybe that cloud and mountain over there. Flaps all the way up. Gonna hit that mountain right there. Cruise attitude. Cruise attitude, let the airplane accelerate a bit. Okay, then bring the power back. (2200 RPM). You can also hear the engine. You can bring the power back and look at your gauge, but you can also hear, and you can kind of hear where the engine's running at about 20 or 2200 RPM. Okay, so we're going to turn on downwind. I'm using that lake kind of as a reference, because I know that lake is roughly the downwind leg, and then I'm also looking at the lake way down here as well. So okay, so we're on the downwind for runway 11. Left to right checks. Lights are good. Gauges are good. Boom, 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 boom. We can check our alternate air. That's one of the, I don't think it's in this simulator here. Circuit breakers are all good. Okay, so Moncton Tower, Delta Echo Alpha Golf Juliet is on right downwind for runway 11. We're in a little tight, so the runway should be kind of here. So the circuit is a little tight on this one. So maybe I'd just kind of correct that a little bit. And I'm going to request the power off 180, okay? And he goes, okay, power off 180 is not approved. If you want to power off 180, just do a left-hand 360 for spacing. Okay, left-hand 360. So he wants us to do a left-hand 360. So we're going to do a left-hand 360, and then when we come back, we'll be able to do the power off 180. Okay, so we're going to hit for a left-hand 360 for spacing in the control zone, you hit rate 1, and then you also adjust for winds. And then we'll press 6. Get that ball in the center. Come on, ball in the center. So I'm pressing 5 on my keyboard. Let's get that in the center. So I'm doing a rate 1 turn, getting that wing on this line here, and basically flying a circle. So when I come around, I should be right here and ready to do the power off 180. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise here. Always looking when you're turning. Winds are calm. They shouldn't be pushing us too far. Flaps are up. It's good. So maybe tower gave us the power or the 360 for spacing. That's most likely the situation why they would do that. So, and then we're a little far out here, so I gotta lessen the turn a bit. So power off 180 is done about here. Okay, we're 1,000 feet above ground. We're gonna do our power off 180 right here. And it's an exercise that you need to practice. All right, tower Alpha Golf Juliet is rejoining the downwind, right downwind for runway 11. Request off power off 180. Power off 180 is approved. You're number 1. Clear to land for run 1. Clear to land. So power to idle. We just had an engine failure. So it's an exercise we're going to do. We'll pitch for best glide, which is 73. So we're going to get 73 knots on our airspeed indicator. And I can safely say we're going to make the runway. Okay? Winds are calm. At this point, I feel like we're going to make the runway. So we'll put 1 notch of flaps right away. Okay. I put flaps and I think, oh, shoot. What just happened? I think, all right, let me just control the plane again. Sorry about that. Okay, so looks like we're gonna make the runway. If I think I'm not gonna make the runway, then I can always bring the flaps back to cruise. But it looks like we're gonna make the runway for sure. Okay. So when I feel comfortable, I'll do full flaps. Wrong way. So plus is when you put the flaps down. So plus on your simulator is add flaps. So we got full flaps. Nice and easy transition to 60 knots. Okay. And yeah, we're gonna land runway 11. So we'll keep turning. And if we're super high, we can also do a forward slip, but we'll skip that for today because I don't have rudders. We're actually super high. Lots of runway. In a flight test, you also have to specify where you're going to land. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. Because I have lots of runway. It's kind of easy, right? So transition to cruise. I'm going to pitch back a little bit. And yeah, we're just going to bleed some air, and we're going to land straight ahead. Boom. So we'll put 1 notch of flaps. Okay. We're good to take off again. And tower, so Alpha Golf Juliet, you're cleared for the left-hand circuit for this one. Cleared left-hand circuit, Alpha Golf Juliet. So flying heading 110, and I'm also picking a reference point because the plane could crab into the wind. So if I had strong winds out here, the plane would weathercock into the wind, and I'd be flying kind of this way, and I'd be picking a reference point to fly to. So the winds are pretty calm right now, so which makes it pretty easy for this exercise, but. Runway 11, I like to use this highway here. It's a pretty good reference for... We're in a little tight. Left to right checks. It's good. Moncton Tower, Alpha Golf Juliet, left down for runway 11 for a stop and go. All right, it says we're number 3. Follow the follow WestJet on 10 miles final. So we have a plane 10 miles final. We have a DA-20 landing short final, and we're number 3. So we're waiting for WestJet plane to follow or be at our wingtip, and then we'll turn our base at that point. So we can't turn our base until we are at that point. We're a little bit too much power. Let's have a look at our. You can see our track here. So there was our 360. So basically here, that was the scenario. Basically we were flying on downwind, a little crooked. I was using the lake as a reference. It was it should have been like a little bit straighter. And then I did a 360 for spacing. So this may happen in a control zone where a tower wants to create spacing for other airplanes to fit you in. I want to get the power off 180 here, right? That means I'd be number 1. I'd be doing a quick transitioning onto final. So he told me to do a 360. During this 360, there was probably another plane landing, or maybe another plane taking off. So it just created more space for the circuit pattern. Okay, so that's what we simulated. This one here, so my base leg's a little crooked, so it's not quite, but this is pretty good. This is pretty straight with the runway. And yeah, so we're gonna go out here. We're following WestJet. Okay, so when WestJet is at our wingtip, we can turn on base, then final. And there's a diving landing right here. So here's the other circuits that we did. Here's another one, a little bit wider. Pretty interesting. So WestJet has just passed our wingtip, so we're now good to turn. Now that we're further away from the airport, we're not at that 45-degree angle. We're pretty close to it. But I still am going to wait a little bit before bringing the power back on the circuit. Okay, so we're going to maintain this circuit power setting. Picking that reference point, the lake there, which is 90 degrees. Okay, we're safe. The question now is, when do I bring the power back and set up for the approach? If I had an engine failure right now, would I be able to glide to the runway? I'd probably land right here. I know the diamonds can glide really well, so it's probably a good time to set up the power and the flap settings. So bring the power back to about 1500 RPM. 1 notch of flaps right away. We're in the white arc, so full flaps, and pitch for 60. Moncton Tower, Alpha Golf Juliet is short final, or final for runway 11 for a stop and go. Alpha Golf Juliet, clear lane runway, cleared the stop and go runway 11. Cleared stop and go 11. So I called Tower to say we're on final, and he said, okay, we're clear to land. Usually he would call us when we're ready to land, but we're landing pretty far down the runway here, but that's okay. Okay, we'll transition to cruise. I like saying transition to a cruise attitude, and then as the airspeed bleeds off, I pitch up a little bit more. I like giving the cruise attitude and then pitching up and just holding this attitude right here. Boom. Okay, we'll put the flaps to take off. Okay, and .55 knots rotates. Okay, we're gonna go out to the training area for a bit. So Tower, we're gonna switch it up. We're not going to do circuits. We're gonna go out to Shediac, Area 1 Alpha to do some training. So that's approved. He says climb, maintain 2,000 peats. So I'm gonna go back to my checklist now. Next will be cruise checks. When you have a checklist in your airplane, what you can do is when you're done that checklist, you can say next will be, so you're going through your checks, you're doing your climb checks, and you can say next is our cruise checks, and you put your checklist away. So you know, okay, so my next thing I'm going to be doing is my cruise checklist. So you have that in your mind. Just a good memory. Just going to lower the plane for visibility and to cool the engine down a bit. Pitch back up. I'm going straight up to that boot. We might do some spiral dives and maybe even try to spin the plane. I don't think that I need the rudder pedals to really do a proper spin, but we'll go ahead and just head out this area. And 123.35 is on standby for COM 1. Or we'll do COM 2 actually, so 120. Oh, that's nav 1. Sec. Where's COM 2? I don't know. Okay, we're gonna change. Tower's mad at me right now because I said I was gonna climb to 2,000 feet, and I'm at 2,500. So Tower says you're cleared to now go to 3,000. Panorama view. So we'll keep climbing out. And let's go add some winds to the flight too. I'm gonna change the weather. Because right now we got no wind, so we got winds are 15 gusting, 20, a little bit of turbulence. Winds are from the north. Okay, and we'll level off here. Attitude power trim. So let's get our map out on our VNC. I'm going to show you guys. So I showed you kind of with the checklist and all that stuff. Another thing you'd want to have is your map. So let's get that out. So we're going to go and get the map out, map out. I'm gonna take my headset off. It's killing me. Oh. Okay, let's have a look here. So we'll do that. I'm going to show you guys what's going on the map. Okay, so let's just do a quick review of the VFR charts. So we were in the Moncton control zone. I'm going to highlight that. So all of this here is me talking to Moncton Tower. Okay. So let's really emphasize this. So this, sometimes if you have one of these maps and I think with my students when I was an instructor, I actually took and just basically I actually took a red pen and I circled around it. So it's pretty obvious. See this? Controlled airspace up to, this is controlled up to, what does it say here? I should review this myself. I think it's controlled 3,000 feet above ground. I gotta review that. Unless otherwise specified or something like that. So this is controlled airspace. So we're leaving out towards Shediac. When we're out here, there's an air-to-air frequencies, and I think this was 1 alpha. I'm not 100% sure. I can look it up, but these are like different training areas. So there's a bunch here. There's like one here. And there's one here, kind of like that. So once we leave this control zone, we'd be making air-to-air frequencies, and there'd be other planes flying out here. So there's also this little airport here. See how there's like a little Pac-Man? I'll show you here. Right here we got another airport. So this is McEwen's. On 122.8, that's the frequency there, and it's a private airport, and they do skydiving. So you always want to watch out for skydivers in that area. So it's something to be extremely cautious of when you're flying out here. Other than that, we're flying. So we took off. I think we took off here. I forget if it was 11 or 06. I think we did runway 11. So the plane right now, we're flying towards Shediac. There's the VOR, so that's a nav aid. Okay. Around the VOR, you have there's a magnetic compass. So you got that on the map here. So we'll go out here like that. You'd have your map open into this direction. And yeah, we'd be doing some training out here. If we're close to the water, another thing is we want to be within glide distance of land at all times. Okay. So the gliding ratio in the diamond is 11:1, I believe. I think it was 11:1. So that means for every 11 units going forward, 11 units forward, it would drop 1 unit downwards. Okay, in whatever measurements you were using. The thing is too about the gliding ratio on the diamond, it's pretty good. And how do you tell your gliding ratio when you're in your airplane? Basically, if you bring the power to idle and you go to glide, there's gonna be it's basically 2 or 3 fingers on your 2 or 3 fingers on your dashboard. That gives you kind of the gliding ratio. So let's say we want to set up best glide right now and see where the plane would glide. You bring the power to idle. So pitching for 73. If I put 2 fingers or 2 or 3 fingers on the dashboard, it would probably glide to Shediac Bridge, this area. So. Okay, so tower clears us on routes. So we'll make a traffic frequency call. So traffic area 123.35. I'll switch frequencies first. Oh shit. 35. Pardon my language. No more swearing. Oh shoot. Shoot is better. 23. 123.35. Traffic advisor 123.35. Delta Echo Alpha Golf Juliet, which is my call sign. Okay, we're just coming up to the booth. We'll be working out in area 1 Alpha. I believe it's 1 Alpha. We'll be working 6,000 feet below. Any conflicting traffic, contact Alpha Golf Juliet. So we'll climb out here a little bit more. Lots of fuel on the plane. Test. How do we turn that off? Okay, let's do a seat turn. So we'll use that as a reference point, 040. We'll do a lookout. And 040. pitch up some power. Whoops. So adding about 100 RPM at 30 knots. Hey, it's working out pretty good. Add a little bit of right rudder, or left rudder, stepping on the ball. Zero 4-0. Boom. Do a steep turn to the right. So I'm turning, steep turn, I'm basically turning, I'm in cruise, I'm turning my wings to 30 degrees. At 30 degrees, I'm adding about 100 RPM. I'm pitching up slightly. And yeah, I'm looking to, got the reference point, do my lookout, and then, here we go. So 0 to 30, at 30 degrees, pitch up, add power, about under 100 RPM or so. And just maintain that back pressure. And yeah, just hold that in and make small adjustments. See how my altimeter, I'm not really climbing or descending, that's what you want. I'm climbing a bit, so I adjust. I'm not following my VSI, I'm following my altimeter. My altimeter is more accurate. My VSI, you don't want to follow that because it lags. Your altimeter you want to follow, it doesn't lag. This instrument lags. Don't use this on steep turns, use your altimeter. Make small adjustments. Okay, if you see it go up and down, you're just slowly pitching up and down. If you see a change in your airspeed, then you got to adjust your power. But focus mostly on altimeter, your 45-degree angle bank. You might glance a little bit at your airspeed. This should be centered as well. I should be stepping on the ball if I had rudders. Okay, because I'm stepping and turning to the right, so I should be stepping into the turn. And I think that's 6. I can't do all that right now. I need my rudder pedals, so we'll skip rudder pedals we'll just skip that for now, and yeah. My heading was 040, right? So what I'm doing is I'm taking half of my angle of bank. So I'm turning at 45 degrees. I'm taking half of that, which is 22 degrees, and I'm gonna do my turnout, okay? So at about 20 degrees, that's when I start my leveling off, my steep turn. So flying. So about 20 degrees, leveling off to cruise. And now I can bring my power back. Don't forget to bring the power back. Okay. Okay, let's do a stall. So we'll do a hazel check. Height, we're 4,000 feet above. That should be fine. Area is good. We're over the boot. Security is good. Engine left to right checks. This is all good. We'll do a lookout. No other airplanes. I'm just gonna do a power off stall. Indicator. Power to idle, we'll do it on cruise flaps. So basically what I'm doing, I'm pitching back, pitching back, pitching back, keeping my altitude, okay? So if I start climbing, then I'm gonna pitch down a bit. So I'm maintaining my heading up north, and I would be adding right rudder here. So I think 6 on the keyboard. Gotta keep that rudder centered, 6. Yeah, so I press 6, that gets the ball in the center there. Okay, so keep pitching back, keep pitching back. So I'm in almost a slow flight here now. There's the stall horn. So we'll stall a little bit more. We're getting a little bit lost in altitude. We can't control the plane. Recover, pitch down, full power, minimum loss of altitude. Okay. We'll do a spiral dive. Hazel check's complete. So we're gonna put the plane to a spiral dive. So if you get in this situation, airspeed's increasing, altimeter's increasing rapidly, right? How do you recover? Power to idle, wings level, ease out of the dive, back to a cruise or a climb attitude, and then we add the power back. We're in a safe airspeed, so I can add my power back and recover. We'll do a spiral dive to the right. You can hear the airspeed increasing, right? Increasing, increasing. Recover, power idle, wings level, ease out of the dive. We'll climb out. Let's do an emergency descent. So you never want to bust the red airspeed indicator. The yellow you want to do in caution, and you want to make sure you're not in turbulent conditions, right? So it's fine though. And we'll do spins another flight when I have the rudder pedals. Oh. What happened here? Lost control a bit. All right, let's go back to the airport. Oh, let's practice, let's do a 90-degree turn. So I'm gonna climb. So Hazel check is complete. Degree turn, so power to idle, turn 90 degrees, pitch back, and then turn out the other way. And yeah, let's go back to the airport. As I'm going back, I'm gonna put the plane to slow flight. Just do a quick review for myself. Hazel check's complete. Maybe do another one. So Hazel check is a check that you do when you're doing high-level air exercises and you want to make sure everyone's safe. So height, we'll climb a little bit to 3,000. Area is good. Area basically means I'm doing this exercise not over a farmer's field or anything that could be unsafe. Security. All right, so securing the plane, our engine is good. our engine's all operating properly, and then we'll do a good lookout. So for Hazel check for a lookout, you do 180-degree turns. Make sure, look out that way. Look out this way. And we'll put the plane to slow flight if I can remember how to do it. So bring power about, I think it was 1650 when I was flight students. And then we'll go towards back to the area. Traffic 12335, we're just going to be going back to the Moncton control zone from the boots. We're heading to the airport now, 3,000 feet. We're about 5 miles west of the boots. Any conflicting traffic. Contact Alpha Golf Juliet. Okay. So 1700 RPM. 1 notch of flaps. And then 16. Slow flight, 200 RPM. Don't want to stall. There we go. This looks like slow flight. So slow flight, controls are a little bit choppier, a little bit more difficult to control. And I'm going to make maybe a turn to the left. A little bit more difficult to make turns on slow flights. And the performances are different. Normally if I pitch down, there we go. A little bit of power. Turnout. I need to review this myself. Slow flight, slow flight, slow flight. So you can climb in slow flight. You need to add tons of power because there's all that extra drag. So look, I'm adding full power here. I'm in the slow flight characteristics of the plane. It's more difficult to climb. I'm going to do maybe a ground school lesson on that because I need to review it myself and then I can teach it. But when I pitch down, my airspeed, oh, just a sec. I'll just leave it for now. I was going to explain it, but okay, we're also going to recover and we'll go land. We're going to go back to the airport. Moncton Tower, Alpha Golf Juliet is coming into the control zone for a full stop. 3,000 feet. We are working over Shediac. Inbound from the east. And there's also there's reporting points out here, but we'll skip that for now. Okay, and he says cleared left downwind for runway 06. Roger that, clear left downwind runway 06. And Alpha Golf Juliet, not below 2,000 until advised. Roger that, not below 2,000. So he gave us an altitude restriction, so I'm not going to descend below 2,000 feet until he specifies. Picking the reference point here. Okay. It's runway 06. And we'll just stay at 2,100 feet here. And I recovered from slow flight. I'm going to put my flaps back. Oh, that's already up. We'll get more into slow flight later. I can only... How do you need an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Like, can't explain everything all at once. I have to... This is very useful, XPlane 10, to kind of get back into flying. It's a really useful tool. Okay, you're clear down to the circuit altitude. Circuit altitude, Alpha Golf Juliet. I didn't get my ATIS. It might be a good idea to get that, but we're already in this. We're already in the circuit, so I'm going to skip the ATIS for now. So ATIS you want to normally get before you talk to the ground controller, or when you're at the airport, and then also when you're coming inbound to the airport, you want to get the ATIS as well. It's probably in the checklist here. Usually is. So we've got approach briefing. We're going to skip that before landing. Landing light is on. Mixture's full rich. It's good. Power to 2,000 feet. Descent checks. Mixture's full rich. ATIS we're going to skip. Altimeter is 2992. And heading indicator aligned to compass. So heading indicator and compass should always be matched here. If it's not, then you adjust it here. A good trick to play on students, if you're a flight instructor, is you can, if he's not looking, change this head indicator, okay, and then see if you can figure out what happened, right? That's something you can do. Alpha Golf Juliet, you're number 1 for runway 06. Number 1, 06 Alpha Golf Juliet. Cruise checks. Okay, so we're gonna skip the ATIS for right now. We'll be turning on base then final. We're at a 45-degree angle. We're number 1, so let's turn base now. Gonna look out and then turn. Start bringing the power back. Pull down full flaps. 60. We're gonna change the winds. So right now the plane is weathercocking into the wind. I think I put the winds from the north, so the plane is kind of pointing that direction. But we'll We'll get into more setups on winds when I get my rudder pedals. So we're gonna go and local map. Here's our flying for the day. It's cool. That's where we did our steep turns. Look at that. It's a nice steep turn. So we flew here. We did a left-hand steep turn at 360 degrees. So I had my reference point. Started my turn. Okay. And then boom. That's good. That's a pretty accurate. And then here we did another one to the right. And then we did all this stuff here. There's our spiral dives. Look at this one. And then we came back here. Oh, that was... Okay. Distraction. I got distracted. What was I doing again? Oh yeah, changing the winds. Weather. Let's get rid of the winds. Winds are calm. So I should be getting my ATIS before entering the control zone, and it should be on the approach, on the descent checks. So I got it on my checklist. We're gonna land a little long here. That way we'll be able to expedite Delta. This airport you can land super short and maybe make it to taxi at 101, but it's easier just to... We're pretty long actually. Power's all the way to idle. Transitioning to cruise. We're gonna have to backtrack when we're done. Landing long. Power to idle, and then B. I think V is like full brakes. Yeah, that seems pretty realistic. Notice how we stopped a little quicker? So V on your keyboard is full brakes and B is the regular brakes. So flaps up and we'll get off the runway ASAP. Come on, turn around. There we go. So we'll clear to Delta. And we are cleared to hold short. We'll say runway 11. So we cross the hold short line, and we have no wind, so my aileron inputs are just neutral. And then we're gonna go hold short runway 11. We'll pretend there's another plane on final, so we can't cross the runway yet. So we'll just... hold short here, and we'll get our time down. It was 10:47. Flaps the cruise. After landing checks, flaps good. Trim for takeoff. Mixture. Lean for taxi. Strobes off. Landing lights off. taxi is required. Landing lights off. Alpha Golf Juliet, you're now cleared to Charlie. Contact ground in Charlie. So cross runway 11. So he said we're clear to cross runway 11 and into Charlie. Alpha Golf Juliet. Into Charlie. So we're crossing over the line into Charlie. We're crossed over now. So we'll switch over to Moncton ground. Moncton ground, Alpha Golf Juliet in Charlie can go to college. Cleared to the college. So we're 11 knots now. There we go. So that was kind of the intro flight for me for the DA-20. I got this plane, I downloaded off XPlane.org, and I flew this in real life. So I had more experience on this plane than the Cessna, but I wanted to have this plane as another plane to fly. So also did a couple exercises, got back to kind of doing circuits, which was good. Steep turns, stalls, a little bit of slow flights. And I'm just gonna, before shutting down, I wanna just play with the VOR a little bit. So we're gonna track. So 1173 is the VOR frequency. So let's go to, okay. So right now I listen to the VOR code. And I'm looking on my map. Okay, so I'm listening to that Morse code. 111, let's erase all this crap. So. Okay. Oh. Okay. Look at this box here. Here's the information for Moncton control zone. We got 1173. So that right there is our VOR. Okay, so I'm tuning it and then I'm identifying it. So I'm listening for this Morse code right here. Okay, so that's that Morse code right here. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, so that means it's identified, it's the VOR is working. So we're picking up this VOR here, which is the navigational aid, and I have right now I have two indication on my So let's go. Just one sec. So I'm parked right here currently. Okay, I'm by the airport. And let's put a straight line to the VOR, sort of straight. So right now my needle is pointed to the VOR. So I should have roughly 0.50. And let's have a look at the plane. Yeah, look at that. It's 0.60, pretty close. See this? 0.60, and I'm going 2 right now. I have a 2 needle, and the arrow is pointing towards the VOR. So I fly in this heading of 0.60. I would be going directly to the VOR. And as I get closer, this needle gets more sensitive, right? And we would be using that nav aid. As we get closer to the VOR, it's more sensitive. It switches over from 2, then it flicks over to from. Whoops. Shouldn't have done that. And yeah. Also, when you're using your VOR, you want to make sure this relative heading is similar to what you have set up here, because you don't want to reverse this instrument. That's kind of for another flight. It's a little bit... I just wanted to get an introduction to VOR training. So we'll turn that off. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's say I want to fly to the VOR on east. This is kind of just a review for me. Okay, so right now on east here, if I want to fly the VOR on a 090 heading, I'd be doing a left-hand turn. The needle will come alive and it will start going into the center. And then once it's centered, I'm gradually turning my plane towards east. So I'm slowly turning here. So right now, I'll show you what... Let's get this out here. So that is that, and we need this, this, this. Okay, so right now, 090 radial set up, like that. So let's say I took off. Let's say I was in the air flying. Let's get rid of this. I have the 090 degree radial. I'm flying here. Needle is going to become alive, and it'll start moving and swinging centered. As it's getting centered, I'm gradually switching my heading to 090. So I would have needle 090, heading 090. And yeah, it's good. Just reviewing it myself. It's good. Okay. Good. And we'll get rid of this. Let's shut the plane down. Okay, throttle up to 1700. Skip that. It's not. It's not working. I was going to show you the checklist, but the other video is not working, so we'll shut her down. Throttle 1,700. Then throttle to 1,000. Fuel pump off. Electrical equipment is all off. Interior exterior lights are off. Avion's master switch is off. Magnetos. Left. Both. Right. Both. Make sure it'll cut off. Ignition switch off. Master switch off. Hubs and tachometer time. Record, so 043 is the hub stop. So that was a long flight. We did, so hop start was 2.5, 4.3 was a 1 point. We were up there for 1.8. Pretty long flight. And flight control locks installed, shocks are installed, tie down, hook up. PDIC cover installed, canopy closed and locked, flight plan is closed. So because we were just flying locally, we didn't actually have to file a flight plan. So that's good. We'll get to the plane. So yeah, we didn't actually, if you're leaving a place and you're going to another place, and you would have to file the flight plan, but we don't have to. So tie down the plane, put this on, canopy is closed, secured. And yeah, that was our flight. So that's my first flight back on the DA-20 on XPlane 10. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next video.